Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom, where we bring you engaging conversations and respectful disagreement across the social spectrum.
Injected with the quirks of everyday life.
Curl up as we navigate the complexities of this modern world with all the humor and warmth we can muster.
And the occasional gentle ribbing. We're glad you're here. Happy listening.
Hey. Welcome to this week's Two Millennials and Mom. How are you guys?
All right this morning, hanging in there.
Good.
Still trying to remember how
it.
to be a person.
I feel like I have officially welcomed you to the I'm an adult and I go to sleep at a weird time and I wake up at some weird point in the middle of the morning and I'm just up for hours and then start taking a nap club.
Yeah, that's pretty much my life now.
Adulting is hard.
Yeah, it is. I just posted on Threads early this morning. I was like, is there like some online place that we can have like a very low key block party for us to come and go at various points in the middle of the night when we are all sitting here awake? And then I was like, well, I guess that's kind of Threads.
Yeah, I was just
That would be
about to
kind
say.
of Threads. And it's not really conducive to going back to sleep.
Definitely the case. You are not wrong there. But
So,
okay. So I have kind of a weird episode that I'm coming at you guys with. I've been calling it Callie's Got Questions. And I put together probably one of the most random lists of questions that are not at all related, just for us to kind of talk through, because I found myself wandering through the week going, I don't know. I'll have to ask. And so I have a whole bunch of really weird questions for us to walk through. Are you ready?
go for it.
Okay. Now, I encourage you to think about them for just a second before you answer, because I feel like some of them, like they kind of have an obvious answer, and then you're like, oh, maybe not. So, number one, would you rather have a spider in your shoe or a... Damn it, Cole. We're 2 minutes in and I'm already saying bad words. Okay. Would you rather have a spider in your shoe or a Lego in your shoe?
It's still definitely spider for me. You can squish the spider. You can't squish the Lego. The Lego is just going to be a pain the whole time. If you've got a tight shoe and there's a spider in it, you're going to crush that spider and then you don't have to worry about it. The only bad part is now you got spider guts on your socks.
Well, what if he bites you?
That's why you smash him in the shoe first.
What if he's a brown recluse and you can't see him and he bites you multiple times and you lose parts of your foot?
Well, now you're adding extra rules to the simulation. You're adding extra rules to the scenario that aren't disclosed in the question.
But are we, though? Because you have specific shoes that have a large toe box and he could just be hanging out up there.
That's true, yeah.
Well, he could.
He also could have laid eggs and have multiple babies, millions of babies getting ready to be born.
See, but now you're adding extra pieces to the scenario. If it's a spider that is a brown recluse that is in a deep toe box that I can't reach that also has laid a million eggs, then sure, I'll take the Lego.
So for me, the
But
whole
in
question
general,
is,
I'm
do
gonna
I
take the
see
spider.
this before I put my shoe on? And so I can get rid of it? Or am I having to walk around with a spider or a Lego in my shoe?
I don't think you're having to walk around with it. I think it's just when you notice it, you notice it.
Where did this question come from? Weird.
I don't
never
remember.
mind. I changed my mind. I'm going back to the spider, but we're buddies. We're cool. He's a shoe-launched attack spider, and he doesn't ever bite me.
Very nice. Does he have a name?
Steve.
Steve the shoe spider. Got it. I love it.
I was going
Okay.
for Wilbur.
I don't even know. I was thinking like Tyson.
Okay.
Because especially if he's one of the babies in
Kyle.
a shoe with laces.
Okay.
We're on
Let's go.
question 1 and it has already gotten weird. I love it. Okay. Do you believe in ghosts?
I think so. I don't know if
think
I
I do.
believe in I don't know if I believe in ghosts as much as I believe in like energy, and places can be instilled with energy, and that energy can certainly come across as being haunted. I don't know. There are a lot of people who have experiences that they're certain that there are ghosts. I have not had one of those experiences. It wouldn't surprise me if ghosts were real, and I certainly believe that places can be instilled with energy.
I'll go
I
with the
agree with
energy, but
you.
I don't think the ghost. Like, Christmas past and Christmas present and Scrooge.
Okay. I think I'm right there with you guys. So I went here several years ago now to New Orleans for a girlfriend's bachelorette party. And hey, K Money. And we went on like a ghost tour of New Orleans.
Perfect.
Yeah, but I was so bored to tears. I actually like went back to the hotel by myself and went and took a nap. I was like, I got to be ready for the night, and this just doesn't do it for me. And you can sit here and tell stories all day long, and I love a good story, but I was just like, I'm not buying it. Can't go there with you.
Interesting.
They said it got better, but it just was not my thing.
So no hauntings
So-
for you.
No hauntings. But that does not invite me to go watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose and all of these weird, crazy things. I'm not a scary movie person. I also, I mean, at all. I also like, I could be watching a Geico commercial, and if something makes me jump, I'm jumping.
Yeah.
And
same.
so
That's
I feel
true.
like ghosts are just not my thing. But I'm with you, Cole. I think energy is a real deal. Okay. What is one stereotype about your generation that might actually be true?
I think Mom
Okay,
should go
millennials.
first on this one. I don't know. What are millennial stereotypes?
Millennials don't want to work hard and
Well, that's
believe
bullshit. So
in job hunting every 2 years or less. Millennials aren't great technology users. Then you go into all of the things about delayed gratification, and there's lots of weird ones.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a generational thing. I think our society in general has moved towards this need for instant gratification.
I
don't
blame
think that's-
Amazon for that.
It's
Sorry,
that's a
Jeff.
huge part of it. It's so much more than that though. It's better internet speeds, it's more efficient networks, it's with technology exploding the way that it has over the last 25 years, everything keeps getting faster and faster and faster, and whenever it slows down, we get mad. And that's not a millennial thing, that's a people thing. Let's see.
Really don't have an answer for this question, Cal.
That's okay. So one of them that I was reading about was about specifically millennials not being great with technology and or being slow adopters of technology.
Millennials?
Yeah. And I think it goes back to what we talked about in the chatbot AI episode, the way like that I feel about it. It's all a tool. Like we don't pick things up quite as fast. I'm not going to sit here and learn Snapchat. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and go get on another social media platform. I don't care. I have no idea how 97% of this podcast stuff works. That's Cole's domain, and I'm very appreciative. I don't know what gamma rays in our microphones are. I have no idea. But I think that it all goes back to we're confident with technologies that we use regularly, and we can adapt to new ones as we need them, but we are not only technology driven.
Yeah.
I'll buy that.
I don't know. I'm going through some of these. I just did a quick search for millennial stereotypes, and I haven't been really impressed with anything. The closest one that I have seen, which I would say, I don't know that I fully agree with this one, but I think in general, there may be something here. Millennials set too many boundaries.
I think that goes from the perspective of somebody who is having those boundaries set and enforced against them. I think that millennials were the first ones to really start setting boundaries. And so if you grow up in the middle of an open field and somebody comes and puts a fence in the middle of it, you're going to be like, what the heck? Because it's new and it's different and it's enforcing a boundary, right? It's not that the field was yours all to begin with. It's that there's a boundary there that you have to adjust to. And so I just think that millennials are known for setting boundaries and sticking to them more than has ever been the case before.
Yeah, but some of those boundaries are silly and harmful.
Can you give me an example?
Not without offending people, no.
Fair enough. But
What about the commitment phobia?
I don't think that's a millennial trait. I think, again, that's a person trait. That's not new to millennials.
Well, when you look at the
Yeah.
rate of divorce going down and the rate of marriages going down and the number of marriages going down, the number of children being had going down. And I'm not saying that there are not like other outside factors that are contributing to that, but I think it's really easy to kind of say, well, millennials are just not, they're commitment phobes
Yeah,
when
I
there's
think
a
that's a
lot of other
cop-out.
factors. I would agree. And what
This
about
one
baby
that-
boomers? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This one that millennials are difficult to work with, this one really, really eats me up because I'm really easy to work with. Do your job.
And don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid and do your job. And we'll get along great.
I mean, but Cole, you and I have had this conversation on a couple of occasions. We're both very adamant to do our jobs and do our jobs well. I don't think that that can be said for a vast majority of the population.
I would disagree.
What? We just had this conversation like this week.
About being difficult to work with, though. Yeah, not everyone is brilliant. Not everyone is Einstein. But I've worked with a lot of millennials, and most of them have been totally fine. Are
Okay.
there some bad apples? Sure. But I wouldn't say that the majority of people that I've worked with are difficult to work with.
Fair enough. What about baby boomers being workaholics?
Yeah, that's probably true. So I can't say that one's not true.
I'm also looking, they're famous for having a strong work ethic and career dedication. And, you know, we've talked about that in a couple of different avenues, especially with you and Dad. Like one of the things that we saw was you guys stay in your careers for really, really long periods of time
Yeah.
and how that was beneficial and also detrimental at times.
Okay, here's a funny one for boomers. Using
Let's hear it.
ellipses. ... in their text messages.
Then I must be a baby boomer because
I was just thinking
am
the same.
a frequent
Okay.
user of ellipses.
Me too.
Okay.
But as we know, Mom is the youngest of our texters in this group of three.
It's because she didn't learn to text until Kayla could teach her.
Ha ha. This one says boomers like leaving bad reviews on Yelp for minor things. Do y'all think that's true?
Yes.
I mean, I see a lot of them. I don't know that that's all baby boomers.
How do you know that they're boomers?
Because there's a picture of a 55-year-old Karen.
Yeah, it's a Karen holding her dog or holding her cat.
You can tell that she's a boomer by
Yeah.
her profile picture.
You can also tell that she's a boomer by the way she is holding
her-
people accountable
And her use of ellipses.
and her use of ellipses.
Okay, here's another one. Whether it's a wedding or a baby shower, they enjoy buying you things you didn't ask for on your registry.
I'm a baby boomer there too then.
I
Yeah,
might be.
I don't know. Never been on the receiving end on one of those, so I couldn't tell you.
I am adamant about not buying things on the registry. I'm like, because the surprise is gone. That's not fun. It
But
freaks me
people
out.
don't have they don't have a baby shower to get a surprise. They have a baby shower to get stuff that they need.
Then why do we wrap it all?
But you don't know what you need, especially for a baby. You don't know what
Yeah.
you need. You're
Yeah.
just putting crap
If it's
on
your
there.
third one, you probably do.
Nobody gets a baby shower for their first child.
What?
People don't do baby showers except for the first child generally.
You need to tell my friends that.
Is that a baby boomer thing?
I love that.
Oh my goodness.
I've got friends that are on their second bridal shower and their fourth and fifth baby showers.
Wait,
Hmm.
because of audiences or because of quantity?
Yes.
No judgment.
What do you ask for on your fourth baby shower?
Diapers.
More diapers.
Okay, that's legit.
I don't
Diapers
know.
are
But here's
expensive.
the thing. Mom, a lot of people, if their kids are more than a couple years apart, then they've already sold all of their infant stuff on Facebook Marketplace to pay rent.
Well, just ask them to come to me. I'm sure I still have outfits for both of you somewhere.
Oh, yes.
And
I'm
that
sure.
was facetious, by the way. I do not.
Was it though? Because we just cleaned out a box the other day where you had small child clothes for me.
No, I
For-
did not.
Yes, you did. That puff paint shirt with the little girls on it.
That was a souvenir. That wasn't to be worn again. That was
doesn't
a
mean it's
cute
not
damn
small
shirt.
child clothes. I agree. And I wasn't getting ready to throw it away by any stretch.
See?
But still there.
Okay, next question.
I think we might need to have another episode on generational stereotypes.
We could.
Okay, we'll add that to the roster. Okay, If you could have any superpower, what would it be? So here, go ahead.
I think
No,
I'd
go
like
ahead.
to fly.
Me too.
Yeah, but that one is like, yeah, flight would be rad, but there are some other superpowers that you could manipulate into flight and have another cool superpower. And so,
Like,
Say, I'm
well,
not fantasy
like,
driven enough to know.
yeah.
yeah, see, I very much am. Like pyromancy, you could utilize heat to generate thrust and force yourself to fly that way.
And what?
Shoot
Lighting shit on
fireballs
fire?
out of your hands.
Yeah.
Throw
Throw
fireball.
it!
I mean, if you're like a, depending on which kind of magical universe you're talking about, you may have the potential to control lightning if you're a pyromancer because they're both plasma and energy.
I feel like
So-
I sneezed too hard. I would throw fireballs at my face.
You gotta
That's
learn
how
to
Callie
control
lost
it.
her eyeballs.
You're gonna have to go to Hogwarts or something.
What do you want, Callie? What?
I for sure want to fly. So I think I've mentioned this before. You guys are much more vivid, frequent dreamers than I am in your sleep. And I have really, outside of the last little bit where I've started dreaming every single night. And just for the record, in my dream last night, I was a complete asshole. I think we've been watching Shrinking and I took up some of Liz's characteristics. And so at one point, somebody came up to me and she was like, my daughter was. And I was like, we know. Like up to the sides of her face. I was like, oh gosh. But outside of these recent dream crazinesses, I have only ever had 2 dreams. Something happening to my mom and that being horrible and me having to call her and make sure she's okay as soon as I wake up and being able to fly. And it's not really like I don't have wings or I can really
Like Peter
like
Pan
ride
flight.
the thermals. I don't know. I don't know how Peter Pan flies.
Fairy dust and you believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
He just kind of floats and then he can
Puts his arm
change
out
that
and
directionally.
brings his leg up and he goes off into the air.
I think that was
I hope-
Superman, but
You go look at Peter Pan. He does well, not with Wendy. With Wendy, he's got his arms back and his legs out. Anyway, segue.
so flight for me, flight for mom. Cole wants to set everything
I don't know,
on fire.
There's so many. See, like that's just one of the potential options. Chronomancy would be pretty sick too. The ability to control time, like speed it up, slow it down, pause it. That would be pretty ridiculous. Yeah, no, so chronomancy doesn't necessarily allow you to manipulate time where you can move forwards and backwards in time, but more, depending on what universe you're in, but typically like the superpower chronomancy would be more like the ability to manipulate time in real time. So what's happening right now, I could slow down or speed up or stop, things like that. So you I guess in a roundabout way, you could utilize that to travel into the future, but I don't know.
It sounds to me like you're into manipulating all of the rules.
Yeah. If you're gonna have a superpower, that's the whole point of the superpower is to break the rules.
But that was the
No.
same. That was the same case when you had a spider or a Lego in your shoe.
Okay.
But if the rules were this, then that would change my answer to this, and that could be this. And
Yeah, because that stuff matters when you're answering questions. When you're asking a hypothetical question, you have to consider all of the variables.
I mean, that's fair. That definitely leads me to, gosh, I'll have to look and see what his name was. I'm sure that I've shared them with you guys before, but there is a deck of cards. It's called Hypotheticals, and it is by Chuck Klosterman. 50 questions for insane conversations.
I
And
think
there
you got
is
it
one.
for Christmas about 4 years ago. It's sitting on my entertainment center.
It's one of my favorites. I was working at an ad agency when one of the art directors brought it in one day, and we would just pull them out and have these massive debates. It was so much fun. But my favorite one was called Homeless Avenue. And it was about if you could have the option to end homelessness across the world right now. But in order to do it, you had to have sex with one of the people on Homeless Avenue. You get to choose who it is, unprotected sex with one of the people on Homeless Avenue. And so the whole thing turned into this big, huge philosophical debate and discussion of, well, what is sex and where does it, like, what counts and how is this, like, if you're going to get pregnant, that would change it. And the whole thing was based on if you did it, everybody in the entire world would know that you ended homelessness. If you didn't do it, no one would know that you ever had the option or the chance. Let me just say, sitting there with a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of creatives talking about what constitutes sex and whether or not butt sex counts and all of these things was absolutely hysterical. Okay.
We're going to
I'm
have to
not sure on
change
that
this
one.
title to Callie's being weird.
Isn't that every episode?
No, you might top this one.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay. If you were on death row, what would be on your last meal menu?
Everything.
Everything's not an answer. You have to have specifics, so that there's literally a form that you have to fill out.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have a ribeye cooked rare to medium rare, preferably like 12 ounces bone out. I would love to have a sushi dragon roll with some eel and avocado. I definitely want some either Taco Bell or McDonald's French fries.
Taco Bell has French fries?
Yeah, and they're dope. They got seasoning and come with nacho cheese. Fantastic.
Love it.
And probably a slice of mom's lasagna.
Okay, lasagna was on my list if I got to make it.
Yep.
I'll take that. I mean, I'm not that picky of an eater. Oh.
Yeah, but if you can only get to have one more meal in your life.
It's your last meal. I want Dad's chicken fried venison. I want a portion of Mom's lasagna. And I want don't laugh at me. I want the Applebee's blonde brownie.
Yes!
With walnuts and ice cream and probably a corner brownie somewhere else too. A regular corner brownie.
That one.
And I want mashed potatoes and gravy.
Okay, but let me just ask you this question. If this was your last meal, you're a prisoner, you're on death row, so you've done something awful to get on death row, and you have these nostalgic items, is that not going to make you horribly sad?
I'm dying. Who cares? I'm going to die with my favorite foods in my belly.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way.
Interesting.
My
But here's the
last
thing.
indulgence.
For me, if I have done something to put myself on death row, I can probably justify what I've done. So feed them fish heads.
So, Mom, the only thing you came up with was lasagna. If you get to make it, and I agree, I want you to make it.
I do love cold steaks. They are superb. So that was really good. I like Babe's corn. That's really good. Brownies. Yeah, I'd have to have some brownies in there. And if I couldn't have brownies, I want Becky's chocolate chewy cookies.
Yep. I agree.
I don't know. And you fixed a kale salad last night that I did not anticipate liking, and I loved it.
I'm so excited.
You should put that recipe in the show notes. That was so non-kale salad. It was really good.
It was good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay. If you became president, king, queen of the entire world tomorrow, what law would you immediately enact? You
cannot threaten anybody with death. You cannot say...
Well, that's already against the law.
Yeah, but I would make it punishable.
It is punishable.
Death?
But we don't do it. People on social media are always saying, I hope you die, or you don't deserve to live.
That's not a threat.
That I would make that punishable. That is wrong.
How do you punish that?
No, Cole. Bank them, slap them upside the head. I don't know, but something. It should be illegal to say that crap on internet about somebody you don't even know. And don't get me wrong. I used to threaten to kill y'all all the time.
I was going to say, I think we have you on tape for this podcast threatening to, if you do this, then I will kill you.
I think I said I would haunt you. But anyway.
Don't make me roll the tapes. I'll do it.
Anyway, kindness. I would institute mandatory kindness.
Okay. You can't legislate morality because your definition of kind could be different than someone else's definition of kind. So
we'll just have to define it legislatively. I'm sure we could do that easily.
We're not getting into the semantics of this. I want to know your law.
Subsidized healthcare for everyone, food for everyone. You have to have a license to have children.
Oh, I like the last two really well.
You don't like the first one?
Sure about subsidized health care.
Fair enough.
So if you never had to pay to go to the doctor, if no one ever had to pay to go to the doctor ever again, that would be a problem?
I just have to see where that comes from, how that works. I'm not just going to agree
But you wouldn't have to do that for food?
Or kindness.
Well, now you're getting into technicalities. But let's go with food for everyone. Nobody goes hungry. I like that one. That's a good one.
Agreed. So mine, and again, we're not getting into the semantics of it, but mine would be only truth is published. And I know, Cole, you're not wrong. I get it. But still, if I got to be king, queen, ruler, emperor, only truth is published. And we would hold each other accountable to that across the board. So just weird. Okay. So I have been watching the TV show on the History Channel, Alone. It's where all of these people, like 10 people per season, get dropped into the wilderness in a certain area, and they have a couple of things to survive, and whoever sticks it out the longest wins. And they don't win that much. They win $500,000, which is nothing to sneeze at, don't get me wrong, but most of them are staying out in the wilderness for like 3+ months. Like, hey, it's not worth it to me.
That's a 6-figure salary that year.
You're not wrong, but I think that there are better ways to get it that are not as taxing on your body and mind.
I would
know.
never do that.
I mean, I would hope it'd be horrible.
Do what?
Well, we had this conversation the other day. Of all of us, we all agree that you would be the most successful. You would enjoy it the most. You would be the best at it. I tried to even give Mom her Kindle, and I'm like, if you had your Kindle and all the books were loaded, and she's like, but I would need internet, so because that would only last me for a couple of days. It's like, okay, fine. You've got internet too. Nope, I don't want it. I
think I would end up writing a book while I was out there, just because I would need some sort of content to either create or consume.
Yes. So how long do you think you would last?
I don't know. I don't know what the starting rules are. What kind of tools do I have? Like, do I have a pocket knife, or
you get to
is it
choose
a little bit
3
more substantial
things.
than that?
You choose 3 items to go with you.
In the show, they choose, I think, 10.
But what kind of items can they choose?
You for the sake of this conversation, you can choose anything you want. Okay, not more items.
I want a Zippo with fuel, a pocket knife, probably an axe of some kind. If I can take a rod and reel, does that count as one item?
Yeah, a fishing pole.
Okay. Fishing pole. What about tackle? Do I have to get each individual piece of tackle?
You can have a tackle box.
Okay. Does that count as a 5th item? Okay. How about, with that, depending on where I'm at, that's another huge factor. If I'm in the Sahara, I don't need a fishing pole and tackle box. Like, where am I? Am I just in the American Northwest?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Then those 5. Roll of paracord would be great. Tarp would be great. Probably a heavy coat. Good pair of boots.
No, your clothes don't count. They're on your person. You don't have to count those.
And how long could you last?
Yeah, you've got all the things you're a couple of things. How long could you last?
Several weeks at least.
So it seems to me that most people struggle with not having anyone to talk to.
Yes,
they get me that much. I could talk
really
to myself,
lonely.
And
they do. Mom, how long would you last?
I would never do it.
That's not the question.
How long, if you were forced into a situation that you had to survive in the wilderness and you got 10 items to take with you, how long do you think you could survive?
Maybe a week.
I'd give myself a month if I chose my items well. Yeah, I would. I mean, I don't need to. I could not last as long as Cole. No question. Without any doubt, I could not last as long as Cole. But I feel like I could last a solid month. Like, I'm a problem solver. I am willing to eat just about anything. If you start saying that I have to eat cockroaches, I'm out.
Yeah. Could you do grubs?
Rat?
Yeah, I could do grubs. What'd you say, Mom?
Rats?
Yeah, I could do rats.
I'm
gonna
rats
cook them
in the woods. Your squirrels, maybe.
Yeah, I would.
No,
like,
they
it's
had
not my
rats.
idea of a good time. Yeah,
They
there were
ate
some
mice.
rats.
They were nasty.
They had a rock that they squished them.
Yeah,
I couldn't even do that.
Oh yeah, no.
But he didn't think his dog would eat turnip greens either until he got hungry.
Got hungry enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a month. Mom's maybe a week, and Cole's indefinitely.
Probably not indefinitely, but several weeks, I would think.
What would be your kind of hang up there?
What do you mean?
Like, what would be your cause for, okay, I'm done with this?
I think eventually my caloric deficit would be off enough that I would need. I think I could get enough food to last for several weeks, but I would lose a lot of weight really, really fast. And I don't know that I could maintain that for any length of time. You give me a rifle and some ammo, yeah, forever.
Okay. I'm going to totally change gears. And we're not in the wilderness anymore, so we don't have to take that into consideration. Who would play you in a movie about your life? Who would you want? And Cole, if you don't say Denzel Washington, I'm going to be disappointed.
Why would I say Denzel?
I mean, because he would do a great job. I don't know why, but he would do a great job.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Young Julia Roberts.
That's what I was thinking too.
I still envy her hair in Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
I could say either Cole Hauser or the guy who plays Tormund Giantsbane in Game of Thrones, Christopher Hivju.
I don't know who that is. Do you know who Cole Hauser is, Mom?
I know
He's the guy who plays Rip
Yellowstone.
Oh, okay.
I know you're not a big Yellowstone person, but I knew you
No, but I know Rip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could also see like a Chris Pratt kind of guy playing you, Cole.
Yeah, I could. I wouldn't be upset about Chris either.
Mom?
I said Julia Roberts. Yeah, I said
okay.
Julia Roberts too.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going on to another list here. Again, no semantics, Cole. If you could only listen to 5 artists/bands for the rest of time, who would you choose? And number 1, that is their entire history plus anything that they make in the future. Or like if they're not dead or if they're not alive and they're dead, they cannot make more music. So it is just what is there, but anything that they have the potential to make in the future if they make it.
Pendulum, Paul Cawthon, Corblund, Tech, and probably Leonard Skinner.
Oh, good one. I would say Garth Brooks, Cody Johnson. I'm probably going to have to put Morgan Wallen in there. James Taylor. I'll have to think of my... Let's go Ashley McBride. I like her. She makes me laugh.
I think I would probably drop Paul Cawthon for Zach Bryan. Changed my mind.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay. Taylor Swift, the Eagles.
Good.
Garth Brooks is up there for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to add him for right now. I also want John Legend and probably Adele.
I feel like I need to drop somebody. No, never mind. There's only like 3 songs that I listen to.
From?
Gaga. She's up
I'm
there
looking
for me,
people. It's not that I love every song that they make, but I'm looking for people who bring some variety.
Yeah, their discography. That's why I throw Tech Nine in there, because he's got a bajillion albums in all different kinds of styles.
Yeah.
Skinnerd is kind of the same way. They've got a bajillion different albums. So
no, I totally get that. And that's my like Eagles for me. Like it's all the different guys and all the different pieces. Like it's fun. I love it. I love it. Okay, that was a lot easier for us than most of the other questions have been. We're very specific about our music interests.
Yeah, we're very keyed in on our preferred musical genres, that's for sure.
Yes. I could also throw somebody like Bruno Mars in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
Because again, variety. And you can't have more fun than Bruno Mars. Okay. The best piece of advice or words of wisdom that you've ever been given?
Well, that's a hard one.
Let it go.
I can tell you the worst piece of advice I've ever been given.
Not the question. I'm just kidding. Let's hear it.
Women are like buses. Just wait 15 minutes and another one will come along.
Oh my goodness.
I think I might actually be able to. Clay Evans, shout out to you. I think the best piece of advice that I may have ever heard was, if it feels good, do it. If it don't go near it.
Nice. I think one of the ones that kind of helps me in my own brain is Dad saying, you're expecting a rational response from an irrational person. And I think you can throw Glennon Doyle in there. We can do hard things. And pretty much anything that Shonda Rhimes says in Year of Yes.
Yeah.
Would be right up there too.
I also think that one where it goes, is this going to matter in 5 years?
Yes. Anything else, Mom?
No, that's coming to mind.
Okay.
Those are good.
Okay. Would you rather have a rewind button for your life or a pause button?
That's a tough one.
a rewind or a pause.
I guess my question here is, I need a little bit of semantics. What does the pause button entail? Does it what does that mean? What do you
want it to mean? I think for me, I think a pause button lets you stay where you're at for a period of time. And that can't be forever necessarily, but I want to stay with my mom. I don't want to get to a point in time. I want to stay there for as long as I could.
So things are still going on while you're paused.
But nothing is changing?
Yeah, nothing is changing. Yes.
Rewind all day.
Oh, what would you do with it?
Redo things that I screw up.
Oh.
Every time you make a mistake, you can just go back. Hindsight is 20/20. You can rewind. Let's try that one more time. I mean, you're never going to have any problems again.
You'll just have different problems that you have to go back and fix. Interesting. I think, again, that takes the surprise out of it for me. So I like the idea of a pause button. I want to stay in this for a prolonged period of time.
There's not much surprise there either.
See, I think about that as a mom. When your kids are little, and they're growing so fast, you think, oh, I wish I had a pause button so that we could really enjoy this. But at the same time, there's so much that kids are learning and the fascination and watching them that it seems a disservice to want to pause that. So I don't know about the pause button. I mean, I think call the rewind, and if you have the opportunity to fix some things.
It gives you the opportunity to still make mistakes and learn from them, but not have to deal with the consequences.
But at the same time, I don't want to go back to high school or...
You don't have to. It's a rewind button. You don't have to go all the way back. You're in control.
Well, I was going to say you're in control.
Yeah.
I'm talking 15 minutes ago, I could have done this better. Let me go back 15 minutes and redo this.
Okay, I'll take rewind under those conditions.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That makes sense, Cole. I'll go there with you.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is a little bit more scientifically driven, and there is a correct answer. But would you rather have fewer negative thoughts or more positive thoughts?
More positive thoughts.
More positive thoughts.
Why is that?
Because I think negative thoughts are okay and sometimes important to have because they help you question and realize things. But they can also, if all you have are negative thoughts, or if you have more negative thoughts, I think that weighs on your psyche. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important to have those negative thoughts and understand why you're having them. But if you can have more positive thoughts to outweigh those, I think that leads to probably a generally happier life.
Yeah. What he said.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your logic there is very sound. So scientifically speaking, and there's been a couple of studies about this, if you have fewer negative thoughts, you don't need as many positive thoughts. So the amount of positive thoughts that you even currently have would be sufficient.
So the thinking is think less?
Ouch.
I would never want to have less thoughts.
This is not fun with Cole.
I would never want to have less thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna kind of buck the system here, and I'm gonna say fewer negative thoughts. I mean, because it's not saying that you can't have more positive thoughts come from that, but you have more room for positive thoughts if you don't have as many negative thoughts.
I get that. I can understand that.
Logic.
Yeah.
But okay. What talent do you have that you're not currently utilizing? Ooh. I have one for all of us. Doo-da, doo-da.
Well, fire away.
Well, now we're curious. What is it?
I think it's writing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that that's a talent that I have.
Really?
I definitely think that. Okay.
I think it's a skill would it change? I haven't developed.
Is it a gift?
My ability to write? No, I think it's a skill. I personally don't think I have an inherent talent for writing. I think writing in and of itself is a gift of knowledge because it allows us to pass information back and forth, not orally.
I think you have such a unique, interesting perspective and voice. And it's one of the reasons why I love having this podcast with you, that I think that if you were to sit down and go back to your not New Year's resolutions or New Year's not resolutions, that it would be a really good way to utilize a creative outlet for you that lots of other people would benefit from, whether that is writing stories or writing papers or writing opinions, whatever it is. I think that your perspective is so interesting and well thought out. Even when we disagree, it's so well thought out that a lot of people, including you, would benefit from that.
Works for me.
I wish I was a great singer. I don't know if that's the same idea that you're looking for. I mean, as a talent I'm not currently using, but I wish I was brave enough to sing.
Same.
Me too.
So
I get that. Okay. What would you do if you weren't afraid?
Gosh.
Everything.
Travel. I'd travel a lot. I think there's even a little part of that I would be more open to expanding what I consider my work.
What do you
mean? Well, I think there is, especially at where I am in life, it doesn't feel like I have a lot of other options. I'm not going to go be the CEO of a company now. So I wish that I had, just to be able to take the fear out and just go do what you want to do.
Yeah, I get that.
To speak up loudly where I feel like, a voice needs to be. You mentioned food. There has to be an answer. There is too much food that goes to waste. There has to be an answer for people not going hungry, specifically in America. Yes. We could solve this. And so I wish I was brave enough and smart enough to figure out how to do that.
Well, I mean, I can tell you why we don't have food in every mouth in America, because distributing that food would eat up the profits of the people who generate the food.
Greed's powerful. Cole, I'm with you. I think everything is such a great answer to this. I think that I would talk more, and I think that I would leap way more, and I think that I would try more. And I feel like I'm pretty open and willing to try, but I think that would be exponentially more if I wasn't afraid. And also welcoming you to the adulting club even more every single day. I think that fear grows and expands every day.
For sure.
I agree.
And that scares me.
I agree.
But
sorry, I got a rewind button now. No more fear.
See? Exactly. Okay, so that kind of wraps up my couple of questions that I had for us. And we're going to get into kind of a weird thought segment. This is not, hey, what would happen if your thumbs were on the other side of your hand, or can you flex off a blood pressure cuff? This is a little bit more politically motivated just because of what's going on currently in our world. So I wanted to chat about what's going on with the government and TikTok and the censorship or lack thereof changes that are going on at Facebook, Meta, Instagram. Mom's been doing some pretty serious research on the TikTok stuff that she was catching up on earlier. And I think she kind of led me down a road, A, where we disagreed, and B, where I sounded like Cole.
Well, that was true. So
now I'm really interested to hear this.
So to me, the question comes down to, so there was an article written about why the Supreme Court must intervene in the TikTok case. It's written by two people who are experts in the First Amendment law, and they disagree with the appellate court's decision because they think that they are undergirding the First Amendment. So here's this part. So here's the conclusion from the court. The First Amendment permits the government to protect Americans from covert foreign manipulation by restricting their access to foreign-controlled media, even when that means American speech is restricted too. So
I would say that that's an extremely un-American sentiment.
It was your judicial court of appeals that went there.
I think they're wrong.
So does this one. So here was a question that came up in this that I thought was really interesting. How vital is free speech to the operation of democracy?
Critical. It cannot function without it.
Explain that to me.
What is democracy?
Ruled by the people.
Okay. How do the people rule?
By voting.
Which is?
Opinions.
I mean,
it's the most important amendment. That's why it is number 1. Period.
Okay, first and foremost, across the board, do we think that the government should ban TikTok?
even at the expense of national security.
Yes.
So let me say
He
this.
who would forsake liberty for security deserves neither liberty or security.
And that was the wrong one to use, Mr. Trueblood, because we researched that this morning.
Because
Okay.
I said it too.
Yes, and it has nothing, that quote from Benjamin Franklin has nothing to do with the type of liberty that we're discussing here.
Elaborate.
Okay. I kept this up. So, it lost its context in the 21st century. The full quote is, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." So it was used by Richard Anderson. He paraphrased it, and what happens is the word liberty gets substituted for privacy.
I'm not.
And so that is really not it. So it was written on behalf of the Pennsylvania General Assembly, who wanted to, it was an issue between a family being taxed to support, Callie, help me here. It was a tax dispute between the Pennsylvania General Assembly and the family of the Penns, the proprietary family of the Pennsylvania colony. They were trying to tax the family lands to pay for frontier defense. So this is way different than what the quote is normally used for.
Okay, just because it was originally utilized in one context doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to other contexts.
But it could mean that it doesn't apply.
Explain that, Mom. Why wouldn't it? Why
Because
couldn't it?
It may not be applicable to everything. I mean,
isn't that the case for everything, though?
I could say when you're 5, you're grounded if you do X. But if I say that when you're 35, it doesn't mean anything. And it's a similar thought there. Sometimes you have to have it in context for it to mean everything. Go ahead. I know he's going to argue.
In this particular instance, I disagree with you. I believe that that particular sentiment can be applied very broadly to the rights provided by the Bill of Rights. He who would forsake liberty for safety deserves neither.
So that was kind of my point too, Cole. I literally was sitting there having this conversation with her and I was like, what's that quote Cole uses? It's that Benjamin Franklin quote. What is it? And I was like, it's something like this. And I didn't have it verbatim and word for word. And I used it. And here was my kind of argument in this. I do not think that it is the government's job to censor what is safe for all of us, what is good for all of us. And Mom's point was, even if your beliefs put me in danger. And I said, yes, even if my beliefs put you in danger, because I think that is, again, treating the symptom, not the cause. I don't think that if we ban TikTok, nothing is solved. Nothing is fixed. It doesn't change the fact that China or some adversarial government across the world could still have access to us, could have persuasion over us. It doesn't change any of that. So, and it's not just TikTok. It's TikTok or Facebook or social media or news channels or the internet. It's none of those things. I think that we as a society have to do a better job of educating each other and ourselves and saying, hey, this is what real is real. This is what is true. This is what is honest, and going from there. And so that we can then hold each other accountable, because we are always going to have differences. We are always going to disagree on certain things. We are always going to have different perspectives on them, different beliefs. And I don't think that it is anybody's job, not my job, not your job, not the government's job, not the world's job, to sit here and say, hey, this is the set of beliefs that you have to abide by. I don't think that that's reasonable. I think that we have to put ourselves in a position to be better educated and do a better job. And we've talked about this in terms of burn it all down and all of this and how everything is broken. But I think that we have to do a better job of letting survival of the fittest take place.
I feel like I'm getting through to someone.
I'm telling you, I was sitting there and I was like, shoot, I sound like Cole. But I mean, yeah. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. Just do it not on camera. I don't want to see it. So I just feel like education is the answer, not censorship.
I
completely
agree.
So let me go back then. So then we found an article about Facebook going into, and Cole, I'm going to say this wrong, Myanmar? Is that right? Myanmar. Facebook was allowed in Myanmar and went, like blazes,
berserk.
Went crazy. Yeah, everybody was on it. But the military started manipulating it and producing stories. Now
propaganda
there and suppressing other things. And now there is conversation that Facebook is responsible for the genocide that occurred in Myanmar. Now, I don't see this both ways. Either Facebook has responsibility of policing, and perhaps that's a bad word, of policing their content, or they don't. And you can't blame them for what happens, for the chaos that occurs when they don't. And we're looking now at Meta backing up and saying, we're not gonna fact check stuff. We're gonna allow the community to do this. And if you allow, so what if we did that in Myanmar? Do you not have the same potential outcome? You still have genocide of a group of people? And are we willing to take that risk by not having, and I just am not convinced that this is really First Amendment.
Why not?
Well, again, I think that and Leah McGowan does such a good job of explaining in her book, A Return to Common Sense, that the First Amendment is not, hey, you can say anything that you want. That is not what the freedom of speech is. Yes, Mom, bring your notes.
So the First Amendment is that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances.
She says it like this. The First Amendment doesn't protect you from inciting violence or causing a harmful situation like yelling fire in a crowded theater. Freedom of speech means the government can't come after you for the things that you say. It doesn't shield you from slander, libel, false or misleading speech, or intellectual property violations, and it does not mean that you can't be fired for using the N-word at work. The First Amendment is such an essential addition to the Constitution that we should give props to those holdout delegates who refused to sign the document until a Bill of Rights was included.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech protects you from the government, not the repercussions of your speech from private companies or public groups. You can't just scream at a comedian in a comedy club or yell your opinions in a crowded lecture hall without being removed. Americans are offered freedom from tyranny, not freedom from accountability. Freedom of speech is essential to everything we hold dear, but it may have been reduced to the ability to act like a jerk without liability.
And
but that's not what it is.
That's how we're using it. In a lot of circumstances, that's exactly how we're using it. So if I just scream that I can say whatever I want to say because of the First Amendment, that's wrong. That's not true.
And I would agree with you. That is incorrect.
And I think that that's kind of the point that Mom's trying to make here. The quote unquote definition of freedom of speech that is used today, is exercised today by a lot of people in a lot of different situations, is not the actual definition of freedom of speech.
And
it is not in the same
educated.
vein. I agree. But I don't think that we can sit here and say, well, just because they're not educated, that means we need to do this. Just because they're not educated, that means we need to censor them. Just because they don't understand what that is means we should just let it go on as normal and expect that as the status quo.
It's the phrase you always use, Cole, that you can't legislate morality.
Yeah, you can't.
Yes.
You can't legislate education either.
Yes, you can.
I would be inclined to disagree.
Isn't it Sweden that is doing an entire thing in every single grade of their public schools that is teaching children to identify misinformation and fake news and all of these things. It is not to say, hey, this is how you're supposed to be morally and ethically above rebuke, but it is so that you can be educated to know what is real and what is not, and then make decisions from there. And I think that you can legislate that.
Yeah, our education is already heavily legislated.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not, maybe I'm not saying it right then. You can't legislate an individual to be smarter.
Sure, I can explain it to you, but I can't make you understand it. That part's up to you.
Yes.
Which goes back to my survival of the fittest part. You have some culpability in this as well. And I don't believe in the death penalty. I do not think that we should sit here and just murder everybody because they're different than us. I do not believe that in any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that natural selection has to be in place to say, hey, if you don't understand that coffee is hot and it could burn you, that's on you.
Yeah, you
learn
cannot,
that the coffee's hot.
You cannot expect equality of opportunity if you do not provide equality of education. You can't.
Yes.
So let me circle back around. So Meta's taking their fact check off. Are y'all in agreement with that?
I think personally it's more of a political move than an ethical or moral move.
I would wholly agree. I think this is Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Meta, all of that, cowering to the incoming administration.
I don't know if I would go quite that far. I think it's more of it makes their lives a whole lot easier in the face of the incoming administration. I don't know that it's cowering in the face of the administration. I do want to back up here real quick.
That's coercive control. That's coercive control. That's manipulation and letting it happen. That's coercive control by definition.
What? By who?
What do you mean?
Who are you saying
that
is
Trump is coercively the tech company?
So if I'm trying to come up with an example here. If you have a toddler and your toddler has a really bad habit of writing on the walls and you decide that y'all are going to come stay with me for a week and I put protective wallpaper on the walls to prevent my walls from getting crayon all over them, is that you exerting coercive control over me?
No, but I don't see a correlation there at all.
I don't either.
To make my life easier, to make my existence less painful and make it more suitable for the environment that I'm going to be in, I am taking an action, a preventative action.
So you're saying
I'm not
that
saying
Meta,
it's not coercive control. I'm saying it doesn't have to be.
Your Meta is putting up the destructible wallpaper so that Trump, the toddler who can't control himself, doesn't destroy their walls.
Yeah.
Well, while it's a good metaphor, I think it sucks. But yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that what they're doing is right. Again, I don't think this is morally or ethically driven. I don't think this is Donald Trump or their administration exerting control over Meta. I think this is Meta preemptively making their lives easier in the face of the incoming administration.
Their attempt to prevent the coercion.
I mean, probably. Yeah. Because I don't think this is Donald Trump. It would be coercive control if Donald Trump was going to Mark Zuckerberg and saying, I am going to make your life miserable if you don't do this. That would be coercive control. This is not that.
Yeah.
Explicitly to Mark Zuckerberg?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. To Mark Zuckerberg, to Democratic states, to Gavin Newsom, to anybody, to Liz Cheney, to anybody who has bucked his quote unquote system. Yes, absolutely he has.
Yes.
For sure.
Okay, can you give me an example of what interactions he has had with Meta and or Mark Zuckerberg?
With a little bit of research, yes, absolutely I could pull up specific instances of this. I think the first one being the congressional hearing with Mark Zuckerberg testifying here just a few years ago that this is a complete 180 reversal on. This is his own hypocrisy at play.
Well, now you're talking about Zuckerberg,
this is what I'm doing.
Trump.
Well, that's where it started, though.
I'm with you. Yeah, he has done a 180. But again, I still think this is, again, to make their lives easier, not because they are directly being coerced by the incoming administration.
Oh yeah, I think that's a little delusional. That's a
going back to my metaphor. Going back to my metaphor, if you tell me you need to go get wallpaper because I'm bringing my 2-year-old and he draws on walls, that would be coercive control. But me doing it preemptively is not.
I mean, I can follow you there, but I don't think that that's exactly the case in this. And I think that Meta is trying to do a good job at hiding under the guise of, oh, we're doing this to make things better.
No, they're not.
When it is absolutely,
they're just trying to make
doing
it.
this
They're
under the thumb of
trying to prevent it from being harder for them to make money. That's all they're doing.
So if that were the case, I don't think that you would hear. I mean, did you by any chance watch his little speech about the changes that they're making?
No, I read through parts of it, but no, I didn't watch it.
Well, we're going to do this and this to be more like X. Mm-hmm. Not X blank, X formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
Which is the crazy part to me, an absolute cop out, and is catering to Elon Musk, who is Trump's puppeteer in all of this, depending on which way you look at it. Puppet or puppeteer, could be either.
Ally.
So let me say a couple of things. And back to TikTok. So China does not allow Facebook, does not allow YouTube, and does not allow TikTok in their country.
Though they do have their own version of TikTok that is just a different name, but it's the same thing, essentially.
By a different company?
No, I don't believe it is.
Okay.
I think it's just a different name.
And then here's some more. In 2019, when Trump was president, he issued an executive order declaring a national emergency related to the severity or the security of supply chains for info and communication technology and services. So he was against this in 19. In 20, he issued a second executive order directing the Secretary of Commerce to restrict TikTok operations. TikTok filed and won an injunction against that. Then Biden comes in 21. Biden, what am I trying to say? Biden rescinded,
repealed it.
He rescinded both of the Trump executive orders. However, he left the part about TikTok in, and he left the part about being able to review them. And that the Foreign Adversaries Act is all about that the president and relevant provisions to determine if a foreign adversary controls an application, to determine if it's an issue to national security. So we've set all of this up. We've got executive orders that are going towards this. We put in the new law. And here's the other interesting part. Even if TikTok sold, they would still have to scrub all of the source book code because of where it is and how it's currently housed. So I think there are a lot of factors that go into this to make it really does look like it's a national security issue. And I do think that there are things that we as a nation are responsible, and Cole, you're going to disagree with me on this too, are responsible to the American public to protect us from.
Okay. Let me see if I can put it this way, and I'm going to ask a question before I try and articulate my point. Why is TikTok a national security risk?
You'll love this, because the Chinese government bought a golden share. I had to look that up. Bought a golden share in the parent company that owns TikTok. So
which means
they have the capability of overriding other shareholders because of their golden share.
Okay.
And control over it.
And so,
as well as the specific data mining that they're doing within the app and utilizing not only your keystrokes in TikTok, but your keystrokes in your phone and other apps, and tracking all of those things in other places on your phone.
So because of who they're owned by and because of that golden share, the Chinese government, the PRC, could decide, you have to share that with us. You have to give us all of that information. And ByteDance wouldn't have any avenue not to.
ByteDance, the TikTok parent company.
Yeah. Wouldn't have any opportunity to say, no, we're not going to do that.
Okay. And why is that a national security risk? What are my keystrokes and your keystrokes and Callie's keystrokes? How is that is that an invasion of privacy? Yes. But how is that a national security risk?
Because it is not just your keystrokes and my keystrokes and mom's keystrokes that is the issue. It is the culmination of all of the keystrokes of the 170 million monthly users in the United States for TikTok.
And all of your private information.
All of it. And how that could then be used against you.
So that was a personal security risk, not a national security risk.
Well, it depends on which.
If it includes 170 million users.
But
that's an epidemic.
But again, so Facebook can do that?
No. Facebook is not mandated by the government to provide that information.
Yet.
But TikTok could be.
Facebook could be.
It's not the same path.
Because they're a Chinese company?
Well, and because they don't have anything similar to the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, and we're not protected by their government in any capacity that way.
I understand where you're coming from. I think my point is if you're going to ban TikTok, you need to ban YouTube, you need to ban Facebook, you need to ban Instagram, Reels, Threads, Reddit.
On what basis?
Well, I mean, I can go and get all of the keystroke data entered for Reddit because it's all there. That could be a national security risk. I mean, this is...
So again, I'm going to go back to a Facebook kind of ish temporarily for just a second and share a part from Isaac Saul of Tangle in his kind of take on all of this stuff for Facebook. There is no great hack to ending misinformation, and any system will have flaws. In my opinion, the best way to fight misinformation is to teach people how to spot lies, think critically, and ask good questions. Empowering users with a community note system is one way to do that, but to improve upon what X has built, Meta should focus on supplying context more quickly when a post is tagged for review, which will help prevent false or misleading information from going viral for long periods of time before getting a community note. One way to do that might be by using those malaligned fact checkers somewhere in the review process and having their work shown in collaboration with the community. But that will all be up to Meta, a company that now has the unenviable job of rolling out a new system they have not yet tested and only recently announced its politically hypercharged moment, just as Trump takes office for the second time. So again, I don't think that banning any of this is the answer. I don't think banning all of this is the answer. I think that better educating ourselves, like Mom and I talked about it this morning in terms of we need to have better online security features, recalls in ourselves that we are responsible for. You know, there was a big shift here a couple of decades ago now. Don't share your information like this and don't tell anybody this and all of these things. And that has all gotten, I mean, it's still there, but it has all kind of become it's not as, what am I trying to say here?
I don't know, because it's very prevalent and it's very sophisticated. It's smarter than it was 20 years ago. It's much harder. It is costing people their livelihoods along the way. And that's just social media.
Right.
Because of some of the players within social media.
Well, and I think that we have become more accustomed to that being the norm, that there's nothing scary about it. And so I have personally found myself on several occasions like, oh, your social security number appeared in a big, huge hack and is out there on the internet. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so it is not as scary as it once was. So I don't think that we take it as seriously as we once did.
We've been desensitized to it.
Desensitized. That's the word I was looking for. Yes. We've been so desensitized to all of this that now it is just kind of like, well, it's going to happen. Who cares? And we have done a very, very bad job at becoming lax on this topic. And because we have become lax on this topic and as a whole, it has made it that much easier for somebody from anywhere, within our borders or not, to do nefarious things with it. And that is the problem that we cannot solve with legislation, but I think that we have a much better chance of solving with education.
Yeah, in general, I would agree with you on that one.
So
where I'm skeptical is the reasons that they're providing for banning TikTok. Should TikTok be banned? Probably. Is it healthy? Absolutely not. Do I spend way too much time doom scrolling? But banning TikTok isn't going to slow that down.
It's just going to go somewhere else. Yeah. I mean, but then you've got people like the Surgeon General coming out, putting warnings on social media, especially for young, impressionable children and teens and things like that. There's a reason for all of that. And I think that education is the only option of an answer that we have.
I would agree.
Do better. Be smarter. Pay more attention. Be more careful.
I don't know that we can get people to do that, though.
Yeah.
And that's where survival of the fittest comes in. You're right. We cannot get everybody to do it. But when you're the one who screws up and you're the one who screws your own life up and gets all of us in trouble, that's on you. And I feel like an asshole saying that. But that's not, and it's not you, Cole, or
some foreign government takes all of your information and they give it to somebody else, and they have the capability of ruining you financially, or big clumps of Americans financially. It's not going to help that we were supposed to have education.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
I mean, but here's what I'm trying to say, Mom, is American companies have the capability to do that as well. Are there more protections in place on paper? Sure.
Absolutely.
Does that prevent them from violating our rights all of the time? No. They do it constantly.
Which I go back to exactly my statement from the Luigi Mangione episode. The system is not broken. We keep talking about the system being broken. The system is functioning exactly the way that it was designed.
Yes.
It just wasn't designed with us in mind.
100%.
And that is what I think that we need to change. And that is what I hope that the education of ourselves and the people around us will help provide us, saying, hey, we have to do better and we have to buck the system in these ways to protect ourselves. Because the government is never going to be able to do that.
Completely
because you cannot legislate morality.
Completely agree.
Mom's rolling her eyes.
What about that do you not agree with?
I just don't think the answer is that simple.
I'm not saying it's that simple. I just think we have to start
I'm
somewhere.
ready for a good news story. Y'all have messed me up on the weird one. So here's my good news story. After the devastating fires in California, this story came out. Fox's restaurant, which was destroyed by the Eaton fire and is in downtown Altadena, and our Fox Altadena on Instagram, has been a landmark in downtown since the 1950s. They have a Noah's Ark plate that is actually an internet sensation, which is 2 eggs, 2 pancakes, and 2 slices of bacon. Or you can change that meat if you want to. But the co-owners, when the restaurant was destroyed, the co-owners went on to GoFundMe. That's Monique King and Paul Rosenbaum. Went on GoFundMe, and their goal is to raise $9,000 for their 15 employees, one of whom I believe is their daughter. Many of their employees, their 15 employees, have worked for them for over 30 years, and many have never worked anywhere else. And so they are completely without income. So they've started a GoFundMe page to raise $9,000 for their employees to be able to live for the next 3 months. So we'll put that link in because I have the GoFundMe link in there. But I just think that's an amazing story for a group of people who have worked together for 30 years, wanting to do something for each other.
Yeah, I think that's really cool of the business owners to do. I think that target is probably a little bit low. I don't know how you're going to get 15 people to live on $9,000 for 3 months. So hopefully they can get a little bit more than that. That would be great.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too, but it seemed low to me. But hey, if we can give them a little boost, then maybe they can get 12 or 15. I'd be thrilled with that. So the other good news story was from Jason Carter eulogizing his grandfather. And he did the cutest thing. One of the first things that he said is, he talks about he was governor he said they spent the 4 years in the governor's mansion and 4 years at the White House. But the other 92 years that they spent at home in Plains, Georgia. And I just thought that was so putting into perspective. This is a president, but it was 4 years of his life. And there were lots of other years that meant something to him. He also really called him, and it was the cutest little thing, he called him the first millennial because of how he was handling, I think he called Jason by accident on his new iPhone. And he said, "Who is this?" And he goes, "This is Jason. You called me." And he goes, "I didn't call you. I'm taking a picture." And so he thought he was doing the right thing. But because we'd also talked about the things that we, had taught even my grandmother about saving things. He talked about them having a rack beside their sink that they saved Ziploc bags on to dry, washed them out and saved them, so that they could dry and bag them out. So, but he also said he recognized that his papa was not just a regular guy, but he also added all of the things. If you've not seen it, it's on Instagram. He did a very beautiful job eulogizing his grandfather. And I think that as a president, Carter deserves a little bit of that.
Yeah. That praise and recognition.
Yeah. Just from somebody in your family that loves you that much.
I also think it's such a really, it's such a helpful perspective to bring up the fact that, yes, Jimmy Carter was a president for 4 years, but he still had 96 other years of his life that still mattered and meant something to him and people around him.
Yeah, I was unfamiliar, but because I've been in hospice and home care for so many years, I did not realize that he was the one who put in the actual program to look to see what the hospice benefit would look like. And it wasn't made into regulation until Reagan was in place, but it started with Jimmy Carter because he believed that it was a necessary thing for individuals to have.
So he fought for it.
Go, Jimmy.
And then later in life, he went and utilized it himself because it was just really that important to him as a facet of life.
Yeah. So pretty
cool.
Impressive. Yeah. I loved it. It was a good story.
Yeah.
Yep, it was. So, okay, guys. Weird questions, weird thoughts, good news stories wrapped up today. Thanks for being here.
I think I missed the gentle ribbing today. I think y'all both kind of ganged up on me today. You're grounded.
Maybe that's the baby boomer in you.
Could be.
I love you guys.
I still love you both.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.